That sounds familiar.
Oh, do we have the mic trouble that day?
No.
No, maybe we didn't.
Test, test. Nope, it's not gonna let me. Just hope the audio does fine.
Yeah. I don't have any headphones for you to test, mate.
Yeah, sorry, I got the
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Hilton Park in Perth's southern suburbs for a clash between second and third in round 4 of the NPL WA Women's Competition as Fremantle City hosts Perth Soccer Club. Thanks for joining me here on NPL TV and on the Football West Facebook page around the state, the country and the world this afternoon. Hope you're all having a terrific Anzac Day long weekend so far. My name's Tommy Dolman. I'll be calling you through today's fixture. Unfortunately, this round has been hampered by COVID postponements so far, with just the 2 fixtures taking place this weekend. Curtin University versus Mum FC was scheduled to be played on Friday, while today's clash between Balcatta and Hyundai NTC has also been called off. We certainly hope those affected are all doing okay, and we hope you're all staying safe and well out there. Should also mention as well that leaders Perth Red Star are also at home to Subiaco up in the northern suburbs. That game is happening concurrently to this one, and it can be viewed across your various devices on NPL TV by downloading the app for free. In terms of your team of officials this afternoon, our assistants are just doing their final pre-game admin. Referee this afternoon's game is Kai Bartush, and he will be assisted by Alexander Campbell and Nicholas Chirillo. So the teams will swap ends, and the race to keep pace with leaders Perth Red Star continues this afternoon, with the Joondalup base side currently top of the standings by 3 points over these two, who sit second and third. And while still early in the season, the night series winners looking in previous form, so the importance of not dropping points here can't be overstated, as these two look to keep in touch and put themselves in the mix for title contention in season 2022. A pretty big game here for you on this Sunday afternoon. A baking hot, beautiful day, around about 30 degrees here in late April in WA. It's Freo versus Perth, the home team, kicking off and kicking from the left to the right of your stream this afternoon, predominantly in the darker jerseys. And Perth are wearing their traditional sky blue jerseys with the white shorts. Here's Matilda Boyle early, looking to link up with Kayla McCulloch. And then she spins the ball wide to Tash Rigby. Laura Waltman giving chase with Liana Cook, trying to put the pressure on. Boyle. Fremantle City have looked pretty good on the ball so far. Perth have barely had a touch. Here's Dalmargo looking to release Janice Kiyama down the left-hand side. Can she keep it in play? She does. Now she's got Faye Phillips for company. A little bit of a jostle between both of those over on the far side. Now Dalmargo brings it inboard. Scorer last week, of course. She'll play sideways for Boyle. Stepping in was Meekins. Helping her out was Gibbons. And the ball will eventually work its way back to Rebecca Bennett as Perth finally get their chance to hold a little bit of the ball, perhaps. So as mentioned a little bit earlier this afternoon, both of these teams have identical records and find themselves on the same points as each other. 3 points behind leaders Redbacks, both with 2 wins and a loss to start season 2022. Perth with 2-0 wins over Balcatta and Curtin at home. We'll come back to that in a second as Rigby releases Gale in the penalty area. She strikes at goal. Bennett made a sprawling dive towards the near post, but she was able to watch that wide of the mark. It's Perth with those 2 wins, both at Dorrien Gardens against Balcatta and Curtin by 2-0. Their only defeat was away from home, which was 3-2 against Hyundai NTC. City, meanwhile, suffered their first blemish of the campaign last weekend away at the leaders and night series winners Perth Red Star 3-2. Was lucky to do that game last week, and it was a pretty entertaining clash. Bit of a five thriller between the sides, with Freo in particular fighting really hard in that game. Freo's 2 wins prior to that were against Curtin and Subiaco, so the bottom 2 teams I should say from last year. And as with many of the teams across the division, we are still kind of waiting to see where the pecking order really sits. Van Herk's ball forward will be cut out by Rigby. Last touch was off Harvey there, I feel it was. Van Herk ran into Rigby. Last touch was off the visiting defender. Harvey tried to pick out the run of Cook. Stepping in was Waltman, who now tries to thread the ball through. Dalmago would have been onside, but the pass had a little bit too much pace and Bennett was able to come off her line and gather. One of the best goalkeepers in the league, in my opinion, is Rebecca Bennett. Player who's been an ever-present and outstanding in between the sticks. The first 2 NPLW campaigns overall, virtually never present with the Azzurri. Was actually rewarded for a performance in 2020 with a call-up to Glory's W League team, as the competition was known at the time, but unfortunately didn't receive any playing time. Waltman's ball, little touch off Van Herk, I feel. That'll just play nicely into Rigby's path. The cross comes in, it's aimed in deep. Ball will eventually be whistled back to Boyle, who tried to get a shot. She then charged down Van Herk's clearance, and then Boyle wasn't quite able to keep that one in play, but a really good show of intent from the home team, whose pressing has been largely on the mark so far. They haven't really allowed Perth to settle into this game and to really have the ball in a meaningful way over the halfway line as of yet. Here's another example of that. Boyle nips in here. She's outnumbered. She'll roll across. The strike on goal comes in and Gale plants it wide of the post. She may have just lost her footing there as she tried to get the effort on target, but once again another highlight of how well the home team have started this game. Perth will be desperate to have some of their ball players get their feet on it a little bit more. The likes of Gibbons, McMurdo and Meekins, all good passes. Here is McMurdo looking to make a burst forward. She won the 50-50, but the ball didn't quite end up at Lincoln's feet, although the striker did give chase. And in doing so, the challenge was deemed to be an illegal one by referee Kai Bartush. I did touch on it a moment or so ago, but it really is a gorgeous day for football here in the West. Sunny conditions. Late 20s in my car as I drove up to park at the venue. Certainly a day I regret not bringing a little bit of sunscreen to cover up a little bit. Cameraman Dan next to me is nodding in agreement. Here's Sire, who's in the starting lineup this week, having missed out of last week's game against Red Star. Barrero's ball across for Van Herk. Now Phillips. Upfield from Van Herk. Cook tried to bring it under control. Kiyama got a foot in. A couple of notable omissions today for both teams. Jamie Duncanson and Zoe Spadano both out for the visitors this afternoon. As to Judy Connolly, Fremantle City without the suspended Siobhan Longmore, who got 2 yellow cards in last week's game, and Michaela Lyons also out. A couple of other players that they're still waiting on to come back from injury as well. McMurdo's cross, it's aimed in towards Tanisha Baker. Rigby was brave, she got the header in. McMurdo will get another go. She'll hit the deck. The contact was there and a free kick is awarded. Free kick in a pretty good position here, and maybe the first chance for Perth to try and just whip in a ball of quality for one of their forwards to attack. McMurdo will be over the dead ball. There's 6 in and around the area for the Azuri at this stage. Driven in from McMurdo, aimed into Lincoln at the near post. She'll roll it back. Baker got the effort on goal. It was straight at Schroeder, though, who didn't really have to move too far. First real shot of the game for Perth. McMurdo then tried to thread the ball forward for Lincoln, but wasn't quite able to be on the same wavelength as a teammate. Schroeder's clearance was a little wayward. Baker stepped in. Lincoln looks to run at the defender. Meekins then gets an effort on goal, and once again the pace wasn't quite on that to test the goalkeeper, and no harm done ultimately. Waltman forward, Sire tried to spin it around the corner. In the way was Gibbons. Phillips back for Van Herk. May have, perhaps it was Barrero, my apologies. May have took her eye off the ball for a moment, but there wasn't a Fremantle City player in the vicinity. Here's Meekins. Nice switch of the play, that one, for Phillips. Ball up the line will give Cook something to chase. One-on-one battle here with Janice Kiyama. Cook will get there first. Can she keep it in play? She does. Baker's attacking this. Rigby with a brave foot. Lincoln trying to spin. Gets the strike on goal. It was well blocked and it was cleared away, I think, by Waltman back there. Perth just starting to find their way into this game, you feel, after a really bright start from the home team. Matilda Boyle back for Coral Buxey, who came back into the team last week for her first appearance of the campaign. Came on at the 45-minute mark as the visitors with 10 players were trying to battle their way back into the game. McMurdo's ball through. Lincoln will give chase. Schroeder was off her line promptly. I think the official's flag would have gone up in any case over on the far side. Play was allowed to continue though. Schroeder's clearance, a little short once more. Boyle feeds it wide to Rigby. She's got Gale making the run ahead of her. She's stayed on side here, Gale. Barrero's coming across. Harvey's also back there in support. Last touch is deemed to be off Gale. And we'll have a goal kick. Both of these two teams have been, or they finished in the top four in both seasons of the NPLW competition since it began in 2020 here in WA. Perth with a third place finish last season, second the season before. Gale driving to the byline, ball across goal. A shout from Bennett, and it was well gathered by the goalkeeper wearing all green. And just to finish as well, Fremantle City have also finished in the top four. They got to a top four cup final in 2020. Lost that one to the Northern Redbacks as they were known back then, after 120 minutes and penalties. Perth got to the top four cup last year and lost in the final to eventual treble winners, Murdoch University Melville FC. Gale. Rigby overlapping down the right. Cross took a deflection off Baker. It'll be a corner. So early stages here, still goalless between Fremantle City and Perth Soccer Club. If you're late to the broadcast this afternoon on NPL TV and on the Football West Facebook page, corner taken short. Leak crosses after receiving it back from Kian with the clearance. Was picked off by Gibbons, I think it was, in there, and Harvey then put her teammate back under pressure, but experience of Jamie Gibbons just turning away and feeding that pass wide for Phillips in such a calm manner. We've seen her do that at Murdoch University Melville, the last two league winners of this competition, just sitting in front of that back four, dictating play, keeping things really cool, calm and composed. And in fact, reuniting with Peter Rakic this season, the coach who won the inaugural title with Mum FC. Now, of course, in the Azuri technical area. Van Hurk. Wide for Phillips. Cook. Phillips continued her run. Waltman read that, cut it out. She's then in the foot race to try and beat Phillips back to the ball. Does so. Waltman, possession turned over. Lincoln thought about spinning inside, spun outside instead. Now Waltman will get a second chance to clear, and she does, but it's only as far as Van Hurk. And Barrero will play all the way back to Bennett, and Perth will get things started. Clearly happy to be in control of the ball on this warm afternoon and not use up as much energy as possible. Barrero's goal cut out by Gale. It's a sloppy giveaway under zero pressure. Gale picks it off eventually at the second time of asking. She lays wide for Rigby. Now Coral Buxey looks for a teammate forward. Plays sideways. Patiently for Waltman. Now Leak. Buxey again. Rigby's peeled wide once more, offering the width. Narrow it goes instead. The flick on was from Gale, and Gibbons will eventually clear forward for Cook, and it's a super pass from Gibbons because Cook is darting forward down this right-hand side. She's only really got Lincoln in board for support at the moment, and the pass was possibly played a little too early and didn't really give Lincoln time to make that and run whichever way she'd like to. Boyle picks the pocket of Meekins. Freo have got numbers forward here. The ball, a little reverse in the end. Bennett came flying out for line and did it with appropriate conviction to clear the danger. If you're going to come off your line as a goalkeeper, don't do it in a half-hearted manner. Bennett certainly didn't. McMurdo skipping past Boyle. Pass inside, couldn't find Cook. Kiyama. Her first senior start of the season, I think, today. Janice Kiyama, a player who's been an ever-present at under 23 level for the past 2 campaigns at Fremantle City. Had some senior minutes last season. Most notably, I remember in the regional game up in Geraldton between NTC and Fremantle City. Here's Waltman. Former gold medal winner, of course. Nice ball forward here for Kiyama, which stayed in play. Just going to be forced to check back by some good pressure by Van Yerk. Kiyama. Ball fed inside for Boyle. Foot in was a good one from McMurdo. Leak. Wide for Rigby. Gale should be the next pass and is. Rigby continues her run forward. Really daring stuff from the fullback. Can she get there first? Not quite. Barrero with a good read of the play. Although her clearance is at the expense of a corner, which will be the second one at that end of the ground for the hosts. Once again, Leak will go over to take it. In goes Leake's corner. It's towards the edge of the area, in fact. It was a difficult one for Buxy to try and make anything of. A quick skidding ball to the edge of the area, which bobbled a little bit in front of her, and in the end it just rolls wide of the post. McMurdo was fouled there by Leake, who was a little bit too enthusiastic and trying to win the ball back. It'd been really interesting actually to see the way in which Emma McMurdo sort of evolved actually in terms of her positioning at Perth as a player who was at the Redbacks in the inaugural season of the NPLW competition, played largely in an attacking midfield position, and then came to Perth last season and was entrusted in that centre-back role next to Tessa DeLeo by coach then at the time, Danielle Brogan. It was actually one of the reasons why Perth were able to turn their season around and start moving towards the top end of the league by having that ball-playing ability of McMurdo next to DeLeo. And in the end they went on a pretty hot streak to the end of the campaign and of course almost won some silverware, getting to that final against Mom FC in the top four. And just to finish on McMurdo as well, actually, she's been deployed in the centre of midfield now. Unfortunately, Tash Rigby's down here, and it didn't seem as though it was anything to do with contact or a challenge of any sort. A little bit of an innocuous one off the ball that I must admit I missed in live time, so hopefully she's okay. Players will meanwhile go over and take on board some fluids. So good to see Rigby up on her feet and jogging off the field, sorry. Always such an asset to have the A-League women's players come back into the NPLW competition. They really are a joy to watch. Also really good for the young players as well, I'm sure, in these teams to learn off somebody with the experience of a Rigby or a Kim Carroll or Sarah Carroll, just to name a few. So Rigby will just wait to return to the field of play. Fremantle City will get us restarted. Rigby's now waved back on and she's back on the field. Harvey. Meekins for Van Herk. Barrero in plenty of space. It goes past her. Will be picked off by Harvey. Harvey will play all the way back for Bennett. Now you may be able to see in your picture just beneath you that Rigby has departed the field of play again here on this far side, so I'm not sure she's going to be okay to continue. Meanwhile, Barrero threads the ball forward for Cook, who'll put the cross into the area. Lincoln will try and spin away. She went to ground. Clearance was only as far as Gibbons. It was blocked again by Buxy. Perth will stay on the front foot. Eventually Freo are able to clear their lines. Dalmargo will now put it out play, and I think we may see a change now possibly. So a change has been made. Sad to see Rigby go off on foot. Hopefully she's all okay, and it's just more of a precautionary thing as she walks back around the pitch just to our left out of your picture. And coming on in her place is Kate Nolan, who actually came off the bench last week and scored to make it 3-2 fairly late on up at Red Star Arena. Really nicely placed header from across by Rigby as Lincoln was closing down Schroeder, and away it went over the sideline. So around half an hour played here in this first half at Hilton Reserve. Still waiting for the game's first goal. Fremantle City 0, Perth Soccer Club 0. Tommy Dolman with you on commentary this afternoon here on NPL TV and on the Football West Facebook page. Thanks for joining us wherever you may be watching. The Azuri have won a free kick in a dangerous position here. Lincoln, with that left foot, has stood over it. Perth have committed 5 players in and around the penalty area for this one. Lincoln's ball's aimed in. It's headed away by Waltman. It'll go straight back to Lincoln. McCulloch got a foot in. It was a really good challenge from the midfielder. Ball was poked forward for Dalmargo. McCulloch's required to snap into the challenge again. She doesn't win it on this occasion. Lincoln puts the ball in. Cook spins away. Buxy clears upfield. And then Meekins with a calm head will eventually find Gibbons with the pass. Flicked wide. Baker. Little clip forward. Took a deflection on its way through. Will land at the feet of Boyle. Lincoln determined to win the ball. She emerges with she strikes a goal. Oh, it's a super save from Schroeder. I feel that might have been dropping under the bar, but Schroeder saw it late. She leapt. She got a glove to it. And it may have even kissed the crossbar on its way through as well. Brilliant save. The closest either team has come to opening the scoring today. Baker will take the corner. It's get it in low. Unfortunately, it was unable to stay in play. In fact, my apologies. No, it was Baker, sorry. Buxy's able to run forward unchallenged. Pass into the feet of Sire. Gibbons helps to win the ball back. McMurdo back for Van Yerk. Van Yerk, an off-season signing. Player who actually played at Curtin University in the inaugural season of the NPLW competition. Once part of the NTC and WA State Girls setup. Has also played college soccer in the US as well, with LaSalle in Philadelphia. Forward from Harvey, Baker. Gale looks as though she's dropped into a bit more of an orthodox wing-back role since the departure of Rigby. With Erin Sire switching sides to the right of that front three that Fremantle are playing, and Nolan taking her place on the left. Perth gets something going down the right. Phillips, Lincoln just went a little bit early. I did give Phillips the thumbs up though for a nice idea. Boyle stepping in with intent, driving forward. Nolan has made a lovely run here. She might be in on goal if she gets there. Kate Nolan strikes at goal, and she didn't quite get the power to force it past Bennett, whose positioning was spot on. And down low she went with the save. Meakin's ball wide here. It's a cracking pass. Not sure if it took a touch on its way through or not, but it'll eventually land up at the feet of Cook. McMurdo's cross. Schroeder watched it. Thought about coming to get it and eventually left it, knowing that Baker wasn't quite going to be able to get there. Waltman's ball forward. Nobody really there to give chase. It's an easy one for Van Yerk to step in and take, but the pass was a tough one for Phillips to deal with, and Fremantle City will get the throw. McMurdo. Meekins returns the pass to McMurdo, who holds off a challenge and drives forward. The pass was always setting Baker a task, though. And even a player with her speed couldn't quite get on the end of that. She's still in the action, though, to try and cause Gale a problem or two. Forward from Waltman. Van Herk just lost that one slightly. Possession was turned over for Erin Sire, who's driving towards goal. She's got Nolan to her left. The pass comes now. She tries to beat Phillips down the outside, but the touch was a little heavy, and the attack will lead to nothing. We'll bring you a score update of the match that's happening up in Joondalup at half time. Once we do have it to hand. Probably an important one to know, given the context of these two teams trying to keep pace with the leaders. Of course, both games available on NPL TV, and this one also on the Football West Facebook page, as mentioned before. As Harvey comes forward from full back, Baker peels left. Stayed onside, ball inboard for Meekins. Baker's pass. McMurdo. Harvey. Ball into the feet of Cook. It's a lovely move from Perth so far, one which was patient but didn't quite have the final pass from Cook, unfortunately. Here's Barrero, who's one of 3 NTC players from last season who've joined Perth this season, along with Ella Lincoln and Tanisha Baker in the starting lineup this afternoon. Judy Connolly was also part of the club, but is absent this afternoon. Cracking ball forward from Van Herk. Here, Phillips darted forward from full back. Can Shrew to prevent the corner? She can. And it looks as though another Fremantle City is down, possibly as a result of that challenge. I think it's Laura Waltman. So it would be a real body blow for the home side if they are to lose 2 players of the calibre of Waltman and Rigby in this first half. Not too far away from the half-time break. Good to see Waltman back on her feet. Might just try and soldier on through to half-time and make a better call then. There is Waltman, back for Schroeder. Former Southwest Phoenix goalkeeper, Dale Schroeder. Buxy's ball forward. Baker got her head to it. Gibbons is high up the field trying to press, and Buxy just retreats all the way back to her number 1. Longan forward from Waltman. McMurdo. Her and Leak do battle in the centre of the park. McMurdo emerges with the ball. Now Barrero. Who looks wide for Van Herk. McMurdo again. Now Barrero. Switch of the play. Tries to release either Baker or Harvey. It's Baker, who's got a little bit of space to run into, but she checks back inside instead. Visitors very happy to just try and dictate the play, although that pass was a sloppy one. It was picked off by Nolan, who's got plenty of place to steam down the left. It's Kate Nolan. She'll try and pull back. Darmago wasn't quite able to get there and support quickly enough. The home team will stay on the front foot, though. They'll have a throw in. over on the far side, roughly in line with the 18-yard line. Throw from Kiyama, McCulloch. Boyle back for Waltman. One for Kiyama, Waltman again. Buxy's the last player back aside from the goalkeeper. Dangerous pass there. Was into the feet of, I think that was Gibbons. It was a risky one, and it was one which was picked off. Barrero's ball forward. It's a good pass. It gives Baker a chance to possibly run at Gale. She opts to cut back inside and use Gibbons, though. Little threaded pass for McMurdo. And at the moment, both teams are keeping the ball relatively well for the first sort of 2/3 of the pitch, I suppose. But then once it gets beyond that halfway mark and into the final third, the final ball hasn't quite been there on enough occasions. Nolan turning away. Ran into Gibbons there. Perth will have a free kick just in front of halfway as we approach the 45-minute mark of this first half. And Nolan will actually collect the first yellow card of the afternoon for that challenge. So Kate Nolans is the first name into the referee's notebook this afternoon. And with 45 minutes on the clock, this will be one of the last opportunities for these teams to get a ball forward in this opening half. It's played short and sideways for Barrero instead. Forward from Van Hurk. It was looking for Meekins. It was cleared. Eventually landed at the feet of Erin Sire, who just comes inside of Barrero. Possibly time for Fremantle City to create an opportunity late in the half. It's Darmago who's driving down the left. Meekins is standing her up. Darmago continued. And then the final touch was a little heavy once more. And Bennett may just take her time over this goal kick, and that might just wrap it up for 45 minutes here at Hilton Reserve. McMurdo. Van Hurk. Searching ball for Faye Phillips. Inboard for Meekins. Waltman steps in. Nolan down the left. Sire to the right. Ball was played into the head of McMurdo, I think, who wore that one pretty flush, but she's a tough cookie as Emma McMurdo, and just take a couple of seconds to gather herself, and she'll be back on her feet and continuing. We are into added time, but we did have that delay due to Rigby's injury, so possibly a bit of extra time being played more than I suspected. Cook's pass around the corner, charged down by Kiyama. Stepping in was Van Hurk, who'll look to poke for Lincoln. Waltman steps in, will hit the ground. So too will, I think that was Meekins who snapped into the challenge as well. It was. Half-time here at Hilton Reserve, a goalless first 45 minutes, but there's been a couple of good chances for each team. Possibly the closest we've come to a goal was when Ella Lincoln, determined in her will to win the ball, wriggled away from a challenge and then launched a stunning strike at the goal of Dale Schroeder, who had to be at her best to tip over, possibly via the help of the crossbar. There's also been chances at the other end, though. Kate Nolan drove towards goal and fired straight at Rebecca Bennett, and Jamie Lee Gale had a presentable opportunity early doors as well when the ball was rolled into her path and she planted wide of the net. Half-time here at Hilton Reserve as the race to keep pace with Red Star unfolds. Goalless between these two teams. Welcome back to Hilton Park for the second half of this round 4 women's NPL WA clash between Fremantle City and Perth Soccer Club. Goalless as we approach the second 45 minutes. Perth will get us restarted this time through Abby Meekins. No changes for either side at the break. One probably major change though in the first half, with Tash Rigby going off with injury and Kate Nolan coming on in her place. Just Cook's early ball into the area is nodded away, and the danger is averted for the moment. So elsewhere around the grounds, just in case you don't want to know the score and you want to watch it later, maybe just hit mute for 5 seconds. Perth Red Star, my apologies, are leading by 4-0 over Subiaco up at Red Star Arena. So it means that dropping points for either of these teams is going to make life even harder to keep pace with the front runners. And obviously if the scores stay as they are, then both teams will have dropped points, and Red Star will open up a 5-point lead at the summit of the division by the end of the evening, barring an unlikely comeback from Greg Farrell's side up in the northern suburbs. Free kick will go the way of the home team. Leake will get things moving quickly. Gale will go back to Buxley. The next pass to her left is Waltman, who's got room to stride into. She'll hoist the ball over the head of Cook, and it will roll harmlessly away and out for a throw. Here's Phillips. Nolan did well to track back Kiyama. Now Waltman. Wide for Janice Kiyama. Ball into the feet of Darmago, who'll try to just wriggle away from Barrero. She does so. Gibbons, though, came across in that screening role as she usually does, and was able to thwart the danger. McCulloch. Plenty of space wide here. Ball didn't get there though. Harvey did really well to anticipate it and step in. And now she'll drive forward. And Boyle was also working hard in defence. Barrero, Phillips, Liana Cook. Kiyama got the last touch. She'll try to prevent the throw. Unable to do so though. A throw which will be taken by Phillips, who made a couple of senior cameos last season, but has very much made the right back position her own at the start of 2022. It's a lovely cross that she put in for Duncanson's goal back in round 2 against the NTC. Here's Meekins, looks to link up with Lincoln. Clearance was partially charged down. It'll eventually work its way forward to McCulloch, who pokes forward. Barrero should be able to deal with this. She does, and slings it wide for Baker. Now, we spoke about how it's goalless early in this second half. We've actually never had a draw in the NPL W era in the fixtures between these two teams. 4 wins for Fremantle City. In fact, 4 wins for Perth, my apologies, and 3 wins for Fremantle City. Perth have actually won 2 of the 3 meetings between the teams here. Fremantle City winning the last game here between the sides. Thanks in part to 2 goals from Michaela Lyons, who's absent this afternoon. 2 of those 7 meetings have actually been postseason clashes, so both of these teams have come against each other in the semi-final stage of the Top 4 Cup. On each occasion, it's been Perth who have got the better of City. "19 goals in the 7 games over the 2 and a bit years of the NPLW era. None here so far, though. Gibbons will try to help create one here. She's released Cook with a lovely ball. Now she's got a player in support here. It's a cracking pass. Lincoln should score. Oh, she doesn't. She puts it into the side netting. And it was a glorious chance for Perth to take the lead here at Hilton Park. It was a lovely flowing counter-attacking move, which saw Gibbons release the pass out wide for Cook. The ball was perfectly weighted into the pass of Lincoln, and you would have bet on it to score from there. Really good finisher. Chance may come again, though. Cook wins the ball back from City. Clearance is only as far as McCulloch. Stepping in is Baker. She'll wriggle away. She'll drive towards goal. It was a great block from Waltman as Perth try to put the pressure on at the beginning of this second period. Barrero now comes forward. Wide for Cook. Meekins into the area, striking a goal, and a fine save from Schroeder at the near post. So 3 chances in quick succession for the Azzurri there. And once again, we've got a Fremantle City player down, possibly dealing with an injury of some sort. Home physio has been busy this afternoon. This time it's Coral Boxy who is up on her feet, but she's moving a little gingerly. Corner was taken, but referee Kai Bartush was waiting for Coral Boxy to depart the field of play. Now he'll blow the whistle, and the corner will be allowed to be taken. And it goes low. Boyle will meet it. Meekin should gather. She'll use Lincoln again. Lincoln drives to the byline, tries to lift the ball into the 6-yard box, but Schroeder was on hand to gather. Barrero. Phillips went around the outside of Nolan with a nice little piece of skill. Ball is lifted. I think she was aiming for the feet of Lincoln. It went over her. Still here for Gibbons possibly. Now Meekins. Gibbons again. Cook. McMurdo. Pass was a little short for Meekins, and number 8 for Perth nearly made it a good one, but possession was turned over nevertheless. Now Dalmago will try and get Fremantle surging forward on the counter-attack. She's got a couple up in support with her, but she's ran into a bit of a dead end down the wing, albeit she's done very well to keep possession, and she eventually uses McCulloch. Jess Dalmago, a former Curtin University player, actually the scorer of the first goal of the NPL, in the NPLW era, I should say. With the opening strike in a 2-2 draw between Curtin and Hyundai NTC at Edinburgh Oval. Gibbons. Phillips is in a paddock of space out here. She'll come inboard to meet it. She'll then look to try and play Cook down the line, but Waltman will win the race and get there first and manage to get her body in between Ball and Cook. Nolan pass into the feet of Darmago, who's allowed to turn. She's got Sire in support down the right. The first touch was a little heavy, and that allowed Harvey to come in and win the ball. Flag is up against Baker. Fremantle City quick to get things moving again. So defence very much winning the day so far. Bit of a far cry from the 3 league games that both of these two sides have played in this season, where both teams have scored at least twice in every game up until this point. Meanwhile, there'll be a change for Perth over on the far side. I think Emma McMurdo was the player who made way out of the corner of my eye. And she'll be replaced by Sophia Papalia, NTC associate player, formerly, who spent 2020 at Inglewood. Was largely played at under 23 level for the Azzurri in the NPLW competition. Also came off the bench for a late cameo against Curtin last week. As Darmago goes to ground and the home team win a set piece. Quickly taken for Darmago, who looks to burst down the right. Coming across there was Harvey. Darmago kept it in play. She's been backed into a corner by Harvey, and Harvey was happy to just poke it out for a throw. Boyle. Gale gets the cross in. Gibbons gets the header away. And Leake gets the ball first, which means Kiyama should be able to retreat back for Waltman. Waltman bursting forward, loves to do this, run forward from defence. She picks out Gale with a lovely pass. Touch was slightly heavy, and that allowed for a brave challenge to come in. Not 100% who that was. It may have been Van Hurk. In fact, it was Papalia, the substitute. My apologies. Couldn't quite see the number from where we are in our commentary position. Buxy's cross into the area. It'll be a little bit too close for Bennett, though. Boyle. Kiyama, a little more central. Possibly switch positions with Waltman, who stayed on the left for now. Idea was right from McCulloch to try and release Gale, but the pass was slightly overhit. Phillips. Possession turned over to Boyle, who will try and scoot away. Nolan with a nice turn to then move away from Barrero, and then Gibbons impeded Fremantle City's number 51 in her retreating run back, and will become the second player of the afternoon to get a yellow card. One each on that scoreboard, with Nolan in the book for City. So Leake stood over the dead ball. She'll just play short for Waltman, who then puts the cross in from a better angle, making the run with Sire late into the area at the back post, but cross just had a little bit too much pace for her. Cook comes in board. Waltman did well to get the challenge in. Kiyama's going to find herself under pressure from Cook again. Phillips wanted the short. She got it. In comes the cross. Boyle got ahead to it. Gibbons. Layoff was a little off the mark. Meekins will come back. McCulloch will dive into the challenge. Gibbons will emerge with it. She'll then spin it wide for Ella Lincoln, who'll try and use a burst of pace to get past Waltman. She does so. The two number 9s do battle. And that was a splendid recovering challenge from Waltman, who looked as though she was beaten, in all honesty, from where we're stood. Darmago, Nolan left it behind us slightly. Waltman's ball forward a little bit too close for Bennett. So as we sort of approach this midway mark of the second half here at Hilton Park, we're still waiting for the afternoon's first goal. Goalless between Fremantle City and Perth Soccer Club, a second versus third battle in the NPL WWA competition this afternoon in baking sunshine here in Perth's southern suburbs. Tommy Dolman with you here on the call on the Football West Facebook page and on NPL TV, on all of your devices, live across the state, the country, and even the world. Sire was crowded out by Papalia. Papalia will look for the ball again. Phillips will instead go back for Barrero. And now Van Hurk will be the next recipient of a pass. Meekins just got the ball stuck under her foot. Switch of the play was the right idea. It was behind Phillips, and in any case the foul will be brought back. Challenge, I think, was from Leake on Meekins there, just a little late. Schroeder for Waltman. Pass wide for Kiama. Waltman ran into trouble. Papalia was there in support. Waltman won the challenge strongly once again to make up for initial error. Gibbons wide for Baker. Baker was closed down by Sire pretty promptly. Now Barrero, she's got Phillips in a little bit of space to the right. The ball comes in that direction, but it was a little bit too strong. Gale tries to make headway down the right. Harvey was in the way. Passing board for Barrero, who's going to get closed down by McCulloch, so Barrero has to go long and forward. Baker's not going to be able to chase that one down. Gibbons. Harvey. Van Yerk. Once again, Phillips is peeled wide right if they can get the ball out to her quickly enough. Barrero instead comes into the feet of Cook. Papalia beaten to the ball by Kiama. Leak. Meekins tries to step in. Both teams pretty intense on trying to keep the ball fairly safely at the moment. Just lacking the final ball, that quality to really split the defence. I mentioned it a couple of times already. You can probably see the beaming sun over in the background. It is a warm day out there. Phillips into the feet of Cook, who'll try to just spin away from Kiama. The cross was charged down. Waltman will then get there to the drop of the ball. Fremantle City defender's been outstanding so far this afternoon. Gale, Sire, Boyle continuing her run. Couldn't quite get on the end of the pass though. And yet another promising move comes to a halt. And it looks as though both teams will come in for a drinks break. Or at least I believe that's what's happening. Of course, when the referee does see fit that the conditions do warrant a short break for refreshment, then it is taken. So we will have a slight pause here just to remind you of the situation around the league so far then. So both of these two teams came into today's game level on points with 2 wins and a loss each after their first 3 matches. Perth Red Star are leading the way with 3 wins from 3. They are currently, well, they were winning 4-0 as it stood at half time. against Subiaco, which means that as things stand with these two teams currently level at nil apiece, means that Carlos Vegamena's side will take a 5 points lead into round 5 of the competition next weekend. Two games postponed due to COVID, unfortunately, as well. In round 4, those were Curtin and Mum FC, which was scheduled to be played on Friday night, and also Balcatta Etna versus Hyundai NTC, which was due to be played at Grindleford Reserve at 3 p.m. this afternoon. So the players are back from a quick drink, and it should be a Perth throw to get things restarted. Alyssa Van Herk has just realised that now, and she'll trot over to take it, and the game should get underway once more. Meekins dispossessed by Boyle, who drives towards goal. She'll look right to find Nolan. A good first touch. Bennett came out bravely and dived at the feet of the Fremantle City forward, though. It was a really strong piece of goalkeeping. Cook manages to jink her way from Kiyama. She'll drive down the right, and once again Waltman was outstanding in the way she timed the challenge, and she gets a free kick as a reward for that endeavour. Waltman, Nolan, Darmago comes to meet it, wins the 50-50 with Papalea. Now McCulloch finds Erin Sire. Darmago, nice build-up play here from Fremantle City. Yet to really penetrate the midfield line of Perth Soccer Club, though. Darmago spins away. Sire converged upon by two sky blue jerseys, and Perth are able to get the ball back under control once again as Baker retreats back to Bennett. Phillips forward. Lincoln giving chase. Can she get there first? She does. She lobs over Schroeder. The ball was trickling wide, though, and it would have been interesting had she managed to get that on target. I'm not sure Buxy would have got there. But as it turned out, it was a good enough piece of goalkeeping from Schroeder to make sure that she put off the forward just enough. And it prevented Perth from getting the breakthrough goal. Waltman draws the foul once again, having bustled her way through a couple of challenges. Not the first time we've said that this afternoon. Free kick was quickly taken, though, and was easily brought under control by Barrero, who was then a little bit lucky as Papalia's pass skipped over her foot. Kiyama's wanting a teammate to come to her. Darmago offers her up eventually. Perth were able to scramble away, but Fremantle City gather possession back. Waltman wide for Kiyama. Pass forward is played into Cook, and out it goes. That was Liana Cook, who signed for Perth in August of 2020. Player who actually came into the side and made a pretty big impact, scoring winning goals in multiple games as Perth made that run towards second place in the standings. Former Glory prospect who also once saw minutes in the W League as well back in the 2019-20 season. Phillips forward for Lincoln, crossing the area is a dangerous one, lurking at the back post. There was Baker, I think it was. Papalier and McCulloch go to ground. Papalier emerges with the ball. Boyle comes over to help her teammate. She scraps with Perth's number 10 to try and win the ball back, but it was the player who stayed on her feet in Papalier who won the day. Waltman up the line. Nolan's layoff. And Nolan's unfortunately gone to ground here in a little bit of pain. Looked like an innocuous one. Again, like a couple of these incidents so far in this game. A couple of injuries not really born out of any major impact or contact between two players going into challenges. Looks as though it's a little bit of cramp for Nolan. So Nolan's back to her feet. Looks as though she should be okay to continue. Just after a little bit of a consultation with the physio. Change of football here. Schroeder not 100% happy with it. Kai Bartush will make sure it's firm enough. He'll give it the okay, and he'll give Nolan the okay to enter the field of play again. Barrero won the header. It went backwards. Baker gave chase. She got the ball back to Bennett. Fremantle City will continue to press. The clearance is a good one from Bennett. It'll pick out Phillips. She retreated back for Van Hurk. Barrero's ball forward. Schroeder off her line. Wasn't the cleanest of clearances, but Boxy should be able to make it look okay in the end. Papalier, good win in midfield. She'll receive the pass from Baker. It's Sophia Papalier. It's Waltman once again with a great covering challenge. Baker into the feet of Abby Meekins will make a yard. She's got Phillips running to her right. The clearance will eventually end up in the path of Phillips, who drives the ball across goal. And arriving, I think it was Cook in there in the 6-yard area, who wasn't able to make contact, and Fremantle City survived there a little bit. Schroeder short, Van Yerk stepped in, won the ball cleanly, Waltman stepped in, Papalia, I think it is in a load of space on the edge of the area, and eventually McCulloch will be penalised for the foul. And this is in a good position here for the Azzurri. Abby Meekins will stand over the ball. She's got 2 for the season already. Known for spectacular strikes in the NPLW era. Scored a memorable volley here last season, I recall, back in round 5. It's Meekins who steps up. It's straight at Schroeder. She fumbled it initially, and Cook and Lincoln were both showing interest in the scraps, but the goalkeeper was able to gather at the second attempt. Baker driving away here into the area. The strike at goal, it flashed across the 6-yard area again. In fact, it was Lincoln, my apologies. Sun just playing a little bit of a havoc with my view here of the players. Phillips goes over to take the corner. It's driven in towards the edge of the area. Giving chase was Papalia. Phillips with the ball in again. It might break for Liana Cook, but Schroeder was off her line and claiming once more. It's been a good day for the goalkeepers so far, it has to be said. They're the ones who are looking like they're going to keep their clean sheets intact. I'm sure both Schroeder and Bennett would trade a clean sheet for a win for the team, though. McCulloch steals the ball away. She tried to thread the pass for Darmago. Clearing away was Barrero. Touch over 5 minutes left at Hilton Reserve, as Jamie Gibbons is the next player to go to ground and require a little bit of treatment. Chance is still there for both of these teams to claim the 3 points this afternoon. Who can create one final quality opportunity in front of goal? As things stand, it's Red Star who are most happy with the way this game has panned out. But there is still time. Nolan intercepts the pass from Barrero. She'll play back for Kiyama. Buxy. Pass into the feet of Boyle. She was closed down quickly by Gibbons. Gale got back and rescued it from being a throw. And then Boyle will play for Waltman, who's under pressure from Cook. And Fremantle City are able to recycle the ball pretty well, and the clearance is eventually made by Schroeder. All a little bit scrappy in that back corner of the pitch. As it turned out, Fremantle City did a pretty good job of keeping that alive, or at least that's what I thought. Linesman on the far side said it had already crossed out for a throw-in. Buxy, Cook putting the pressure on. Schroeder. Kiyama can turn. Cook's working ever so hard, though, to try and apply a little bit of pressure. Leak, Gibbons try to step in. Boyle did well to stand her ground. Pass from Leak a little short. McCulloch, though, went to ground and she drew the foul. It was either Gibbons or Meekins who gave it away, not sure who. Fremantle City's next game is away at Murdoch University Melville, the defending champions, on Friday night next weekend. Over on the synthetic at the Best Steam Stadium. They're then at home here against Balcatta. And then they'll be away to the NTC at E&D Leader Stadium. Now, I think I may have missed this at a time, but I think Jamie Gibbons has been shown a second yellow card. And Fremantle City are down to... Perth are down to 10. As a result of that foul in the centre of the park a little earlier on. So Perth will be with a player less for the final few minutes plus added time. Let's see what Fremantle City can make of it. Waltman tried to poke the ball forward for Sire. Meekins was converged upon by a couple of Fremantle City bodies. One of them was Waltman, who fed the pass for Nolan. Kiyama's wide. If she can find her, she does. Kiyama will try and put the cross in. Phillips got over. She deflected it behind. And there'll be a home corner. Corner taken short by Leak. Kiyama on the edge of the area. Cross comes in to the box. Throw of the boot from Baker may have just put Sire off, and as a result, she misread that one, and away it goes for a Perth throw. So just to confirm, in case you missed it, because I missed it personally, Jamie Gibbons was shown a second yellow card for a challenge in midfield a moment or two ago, and that will mean that Perth will play the remainder of this game with 10 players. Cook. Barrero driving forward. Lincoln will make the run into the channel. Waltman will cut it out once again, though. If Meekins can get there first, she can poke wide for Cook. She does. Now, Cook's not really got anyone to aim for at the moment, so she'll try a switch of the play. The clearance will land at the feet of Leak, who's got Nolan making a run wide left. She goes in board for Darmago instead. Nolan's continued her run. Darmago spins inside. She invites Gale to come forward. Sire's making the run ahead of her. Gale's still driving. She drives into a couple of challenges, and then she commits the foul on Papalea, who held her ground pretty well, all things considered. And Perth will get the ball back, and they'll take the free kick quickly. Cook has Meekins ahead of her. So too Lincoln. Meekins will then try and return the pass for Cook. And Kiyama will make the clearance. Both sets of players looking absolutely shattered after what's been a very warm afternoon. You can see the shadows just creeping over the pitch now in Fremantle City's defensive penalty area. Clearance forward. Barrero with a good foot in to beat Darmago to the ball. Now Van Yerk will try and pick Baker out with a pass on the left wing. Perth Soccer Club, meanwhile, will play Perth Red Star next week up at the campus at ECU Joondalup in the northern suburbs. Waltman in the way, as she often has been this afternoon. Kiyama urging Nolan to make the run forward. Cook will stand her up. Waltman stops, props, launches forward. Barrero should win the race. Nolan will give chase. Barrero will clear right-footed. Cook with a very clever flick around the corner, but once again, it's Waltman reading it like a book. Darmago gets back to her feet. Uses Waltman. Barrero anticipates the pass and cuts it out from Nolan. And now Cam Barrero will look up. She'll try and spot out crossfield switch, but opts to go back with a safe pass instead. Now she plays wide for Cook. Papalia, the substitute with the fresh legs, continues her run. She'll slide the pass into the channel for Lincoln, who stayed onside. She'll want her left foot. She'll strike at goal. Oh, it'll go through Schroeder, will it? What's happened here? I can't see what happened there, but I think Schroeder managed to gather. And Fremantle City survive an almighty scare right at the end of this game. Bodies came flying in from all directions as the ball went through Schroeder. Meekins, I think, was on the scene. There was a couple of Fremantle City defenders back, and in the end, the home side escape with one there, and they'll try to profit from that. A little bit of luck, perhaps, with one final opportunity of their own at the other end as Darmago goes back for Boyle. Boyle will win the throw. Fremantle City will stay on the front foot. Gale waits for the ball to come to her. Driving towards goal. Jamie Lee Gale, a solo run. And in the end, the bodies got around her just enough. They converged upon the Fremantle City wide player and they were able to snuff out the danger. But it was almost a mazy solo run from Jamie Lee Gale, which presented a good opportunity in the penalty area for the home side. Bennett's clearance is the last action of the game. A goalless draw here at Hilton Park, and a result which, in all honesty, will probably suit neither team given the score in the Red Star Subiaco game as it was at half-time, with them leading by 4-0. It means that they will take a 5-point lead into round 5 of the competition this weekend, with these two teams staying as they are in second and third. On a hot afternoon here in Perth southern suburbs, the goalless draw, it wasn't through a lack of trying in terms of getting the breakthrough goal. Dale Schroeder in particular with a wonderful save in the first half to tip over Ella Lincoln's long-range effort. Jamie Lee Gale planted an effort wide of the post. Kate Nolan fired at Rebecca Bennett, And then right at the end, there was almost some late drama as Ella Lincoln cut in from the right. She smashed towards goal. It went through Schroeder, and then luckily, perhaps, they were able to gather right on the line as the Perth players, in particular Abby Meekins, were converging in upon the opportunity. And then down to the left of your screen, Jamie Lee Gale went on a solo run. She was blocked out by a couple of sky blue shirts, and that proved to be the last action of the match as it ends all square here between Perth Soccer Club and Fremantle City. Nothing to separate these two teams as they finish second and third at the end of round 4. From Hilton Park, my name's been Tommy Dolman. We'll catch you next weekend. Good night.